whispers among the stars. They called them storytellers, dreamers, a species addicted to myth and memory. From the council chambers of the Zarn Enclave to the war halls of the Korik's Dominion, humanity was regarded with a strange mixture of curiosity and condescension. Earth, the cradle, as some romantics called it, was a recent addition to the Galactic Accord. Their entry had been loud, emotional, and quaint. No empire expected them to last. I was among those who dismissed them. I am Violentau, strategist of the Thalrai Ascendancy. I have studied every major military campaign of the last 7,000 cycles. I've watched entire civilizations extinguished in days. I have dissected fleets like surgeons parse flesh. Yet, when humans arrived at the Accord's war table, I barely raised a crest. Their ships were outdated, their doctrine disorganized. They argued among themselves in front of council delegates. They asked too many questions. They seemed incapable of unity, until the Varkeen broke the armistice. The Varkeen Confederacy, fractured outcasts armed with stolen tech and old grudges, had severed trade routes through the Lyrith corridor. They struck deep into Accord space, slaughtering colonists, capturing resource moons. 3 of our coalition fleets mobilized. None returned. The council panicked. The Accord's proud navies, 1,000 strong, had been baited into overlapping kill zones. Varkeen ECM scrambled our command links. Our battleships became coffins, drifting among debris fields lit only by dying reactors. So the humans volunteered. It wasn't a formal deployment. Not at first. No vote, no consensus. Just a calm transmission from Earth's delegation. The Terran Defense Fleet is en route. We laughed. We did. The entire chamber echoed with it. Let the storytellers try, we thought. Let them show us how little they understand war. But then, the jump gates flared, and something came through that silenced every voice. A wall of metal emerged. No, not just metal. Intent. Human ships were unlike anything we'd seen. There were no polished crests, no royal insignias. They were built for survival, for war without artifice. They moved like predators, not in formation, but in a shifting web of fluid aggression. The largest of them, Vindicator, we learned later, broadcast no fanfare. It simply opened a comms channel and spoke 3 words. Begin fleet maneuver. Sensors lit up. Human vessels scattered, reformed, vanished, reappeared. Their propulsion signatures blurred. Their configurations adapted mid-flight. This was not the force of primitives. This was a fleet born of species that had once fought wars across every continent, in every climate, with sticks, swords, drones, and nuclear fire. A species forged in struggle and sharpened by history. In that moment, we realized the myths had missed something. The legends spoke of human resilience, their passion, their endurance. But no tale had warned us about their precision, their discipline, their wrath. The Terran fleet moved without hesitation, cold, methodical, prepared. The storytellers had arrived, and they were rewriting everything. Steel and silence. Captain Elena Voss stood at the command deck of the HSS Vindicator, arms folded behind her back, eyes locked on the starfield beyond the reinforced viewport. Around her, the bridge was a calm storm, silent, efficient, alive with motion. No shouting, no panic, just the quiet hum of war machinery preparing for violence. Fleet units reporting in formation, said Lieutenant Koresh, her voice clipped calm. 7th Armada at full strength. All systems green. Elena nodded once. Any sign of Varkeen patrols? Intermittent shadows on the edge of our scope. Could be probes. Then they know we're here. There was no doubt in her mind. The Varkeen would underestimate them, just like the others had. Every species in the Accord seemed obsessed with flair. Ships like cathedrals, fleets that announced themselves with ceremonial fanfare. But humanity? Humanity built weapons, not monuments. The Vindicator was a monster of a ship, over 4 kilometers long, all armor plating, point defense batteries, and adaptive shielding. It had no curve to its hull, no aesthetic sweep. It was built to survive hits and deliver death. Bring the fleet to silent posture, Voss ordered. Power down active comms, set the gravitic sail. No jump flares. The Terran armada vanished from enemy scans, coasting along the gravitational pull of the nearby gas giant, hidden from conventional sensors. They didn't use traditional jump drives. Earth's engineers had designed microslings, gravitic anchor points paired with dark energy spires. The fleet could leap across local space in unpredictable arcs, trading speed for stealth and confusion. Alien AIs couldn't track them. Varkeen battle computers wouldn't understand the signatures. On screen, the Varkeen blockade began to emerge. A dozen warships in a loose crescent around the mining moon of Halar 9. The station's surface blinked with distress beacons, civilians, miners, and Accord staff all trapped behind enemy shields. Commander Malik, Voss said. A side display flickered, revealing a pale, shaven-headed man with cybernetic lines trailing down from his eyes. Quantum arrays are ready, Malik said. Battle simulations converging. 93% match for phase pattern delta. Deploy. Across the fleet, human ships shifted, not into rigid lines, but into a three-dimensional kill web. No symmetry, no predictability, just chaos with purpose. When the attack came, it wasn't heralded by plasma blasts or torpedoes. It was silence, followed by horror. A Terran corvette blinked into position beneath a Varkeen cruiser, launched a gravitic imploder, and vanished. The cruiser folded inward, crushed by its own mass. Another Varkeen destroyer ignited from within, hacked by an AI infiltration virus and forced to overheat its reactor coils. In less than 4 minutes, 5 Varkeen ships were drifting hulks. Elena Voss didn't smile. She simply leaned forward and said, "Advance." This wasn't display. This wasn't diplomacy. This was war, the human way, precise, relentless, quiet until the storm hit. When Titans bleed, the Varkeen dreadnought Scarzul dropped from subspace like a falling god, its hull bristling with plasma harpoons and radiation flak batteries. 30 kilometers of living metal snarled across the void. Behind it, 2 more capital ships flanked its wings, forming a wedge that had broken every Accord fleet sent before. Captain Elena Voss watched it arrive in silence. "Signature confirms," said Lieutenant Koresh. "That's Scarzul, flagship of High Warlord Vrekton himself." The name meant nothing to Voss. Another tyrant, another ship. But what mattered was how it moved, bold, confident on a direct intercept course. "They're baiting us," Commander Malik said through the hololink. "Formations are tight. They expect us to break and run." Voss stepped closer to the holodeable, watching the simulation update in real time. "Then we don't give them what they expect." She tapped the command node. "Order the Vindicator and Wings 3 through 6 to hold position. Wings 1 and 2 will execute Ghost Curve Alpha." Within seconds, smaller Terran ships peeled away, accelerating at impossible angles. They vanished and reappeared, flickers of metal riding gravity waves like dancers through a storm. The Varkeen opened fire, thousands of coordinated bursts of plasma, radiation, and ion pulses. But the Terran fleet was already inside their firing solutions, already rewriting the map. Kinetic lances, mass-driven rods at relativistic speeds, punched through one of the dreadnought's flanking escorts, leaving a trail of molten hull. A squadron of human strike frigates emerged from a gravity slingshot behind an asteroid, launched boarding pods at terminal velocity, and embedded themselves into the underbelly of another Varkeen warship. Inside, Terran shock teams, clad in grav armor and wielding silent rail rifles, tore through confused Varkeen crew, disabling internal command systems before the bridge even understood they were under attack. Voss's voice was steady over the fleet channel. "No quarter. Disable engines and weapons. Let the wreckage speak for itself." As the battle intensified, the Scarzul turned its wrath on the Vindicator. A storm of plasma and EMP pulses struck the Terran flagship shields, collapsing its outer layers. "Core shielding at 60%, Koresh reported. "Maintain course," Voss replied. Commander Malik's voice cut through. "Pattern solutions complete. I have a vector." "Do it," The Vindicator deployed a black box, an untraceable AI drone that infiltrated the Scarzul's command network within milliseconds. Invisible, intangible, and deadly. The enemy ship staggered. Then, an implosion. Not from impact, but from code. The Scarzul's core failed catastrophically, triggering a cascading quantum detonation that folded space around it into a vortex of light and gravity. The battlefield went still. One by one, the remaining Varkeen vessels powered down their weapons and jumped away, their confidence shattered, their legend undone. Elena Voss exhaled slowly. Status. Enemy retreat confirmed, Koresh said, eyes wide. Voss nodded once. Signal accord command. Objective complete. But in her mind, she knew this was more than a victory. It was the moment the galaxy saw humanity not as curiosities, not as storytellers, but as a force that could make titans bleed. Echoes in the Hall of Empires. The council chamber was rarely silent. Composed of representatives from over 400 species, the Grand Accord Hall on Velthora Prime was a constant whirlwind of posturing, translation echoes, and bureaucratic delay. But now, with the holographic recording of the Terran fleet's engagement replaying above the central dais, frame by frame of dreadnoughts falling, flanks shredded, and the Scarzul collapsing in a spatial collapse, the chamber held its breath. Counselor Erevan of the Alari blinked his translucent eyes. This cannot be real. High Matron Zevna of the Therax clicked her mandibles, voice laced with both awe and fear. They tore through Varkeen formations like they had studied their every move for centuries. No, replied Admiral Shurak of the Jarathi Combine, his tone low. They fought as if they had prepared for this moment their entire existence. In the shadows behind the council ring, Elena Voss stood in formal gray. No medals, no speeches, just presence. Humanity hadn't asked to speak. They hadn't demanded accolades. They'd submitted a simple report. Mission accomplished. Civilian colony secured. Varkeen forces repelled. Minimal human losses. It was the final line that unnerved everyone the most. Minimal losses, Counselor Erevan repeated, reviewing the numbers. How? Against that force. Beside him, the Krellic emissary hissed. They did not fight like us. They did not rely on mass. They wielded knowledge. They used, he paused, searching for the word, intention. The truth was bleeding into the hearts of empires that had ruled for millennia. Humanity wasn't just another species stumbling into the stars. They had brought every lesson, every scar, every war from their brutal past, and refined it into something terrifyingly effective. Whispers traveled fast. The Thaurai, once dismissive, began requesting Terran advisors. The Rixari clans, famed for piracy, suspended raids on human outposts indefinitely. Even the Varkeen, wounded and retreating, sent encrypted signals to Earth. Parleys offered, grudges buried beneath survival instinct. But the most telling reaction was fear. Not loud, not broadcast. Quiet, subtle, strategic recalculations behind closed doors. Back on Earth, Fleet Command refused to celebrate. Admiral Nyoko Tanaka addressed the Security Assembly with a cold, concise assessment. We fought as we were trained to. But now the galaxy sees what we're capable of. They'll adapt. They always do. And yet, among the human population, on stations, colonies, and habitats from Luna to the Outer Rim, a quiet pride took root. Not arrogance, not empire building, just a simple truth. Humanity no longer stood in awe of the stars. The stars now whispered about them. On Velthora Prime, Elena Voss turned from the council hall and walked into the corridor without fanfare. A junior diplomat tried to approach her, eyes wide with questions. She simply said, "The fleet speaks for itself," and disappeared into the lift, leaving only the echo of legends, now rewritten, this time with Terran steel.